Okay, this is guest cameraman Steve filling in for Spencer today. I'm here in Sheephead Alley underneath the Jack's Pier. These guys are making pretty good progress. Hopefully this will be a complete fishing device soon. But around this area, we're getting lots of good structure bites. I would say water quality today is just okay, not great. We have some Sandfleas present. They're getting a little bit harder to find. That's true on outgoing, incoming. They're just not as present as they used to be. Some mullet in the surf. We did land some whiting today, a palmetto, black drum. We did see people catching sheep's head. No sign of Mr. Red Drum. No sign of Mr. Pompano. But conditions are not bad. Hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. Steve filling in for Spencer.
Hey guys, got to give a big thank you to Steve for handling the video today. We had Turkey Day duties, and hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving Day. And if you got the fish, hopefully you caught a bunch of fish. But like he said, the water is murky, and it's probably going to be that way for Friday, and as well on Saturday in the morning. You got for Friday, we're looking at west winds 5 to 10 in the morning, switching over to the east-southeast at 5 to 10. So possibly Friday afternoon, the water will get a little bit better. Then you're looking at Saturday, they're calling for light west wind and variable wind in the morning, switching over to the north-northeast 10 to 15. And going into Sunday, looking at northeast 10 to 12. Then switching over to the south, light becoming stronger as the evening goes on. And by Sunday night, you're looking at south winds up to 20, 25 miles an hour as this cold front approaches. A word about this cold front, if you've seen it for northeast Florida, it's going to be dropping into the 30s, highs in the 50s, and then another cold front next weekend. So in the next 3 days, if you haven't loaded up on Sandfleas, now would be the time, because once this cold hits, they're going to be extremely hard to find. If you haven't caught your share of pompano, the next 3 days would be the next 3 days to catch them, because that water drops. They're going to be booking it. They'll be headed south a lot faster. The last few days have been actually really good. Sheephead, drum. A lot of whiting, guys. A ton of whiting. Even in the dirty water, the whiting are biting, as well as the sharks. But the whiting are outnumbering the sharks right now. And there is seaweed around, but not quite as bad. It's been worse, actually, in the Ponte Vedra Volano area, and not much of it in Jack's Beach area. So we'll see how that goes. As the wind shifts more out of the south, it may push it up towards the Jack's Beach area and further north. But so far, it's very scattered in Jack's Beach. Speaking of Sandfleas, they are still here. I've been doing pretty well on them. I've caught my best fleas right now on the high outgoing tide. They're getting in about knee-deep water, and it's really hard to use your rake right now because the sand is hard. So once you find a school, you got to use your hand. I'm using my hand and just putting the rake right there and scooping them in and getting 100, 200 at a time. So freezing them up, the fish will still eat them. But let's talk about what's biting. Like I said, the whiting, they're hitting the fish bites, fresh shrimp, Sandfleas, pretty much anything you can put on the hook right now, they're biting. You can use the pompano rigs or just a single Carolina rig with a storm sinker. Look for a run out, or just fish the low tide in the trough that runs along the beach. The black drum and sheephead, they've been hitting the Sandfleas. I've been getting all my sheephead on the Sandfleas and the redfish. And what else are they hitting? They're hitting clam. They're hitting crab knuckles. And always, the drum will hit shrimp. They're an opportunity feeder. Whatever they come across, they'll pretty much eat. As you know, the sheephead are a little bit more pickier, so they want to stick to the crustacean type stuff a little bit more, like the crabs and all of that. Clams, they'll hit. And you got the reds, they'll hit the shrimp. They're eating the mullet. The last few days, there's been thousands of mullet headed south, inches of water. So if you have your cast net, bring it. Chunk of mullet out there. The redfish will hit it. The bluefish will hit it. And so will the speckled trout. There's still speckled trout around, guys. yeah, it's been a good few days, and it should continue till that cold front hits. The water temperature right now is still at 71. I imagine next time this week we'll be talking about 66-degree temperature. That's just what it'll be. It won't take much to drop it. And if we get a couple of cold fronts in a row, and you get the lows in the 40s and the 30s at night, it really drops it fast. So once that happens, it'll be mainly whiting, drum, and sheephead. As they like the colder weather, the pompano like to get out of here. So if you have time, like I said, load up on Sandfleas. If you don't load up and you're not worried about it, remember all you got to do is take a day drive. You can go down south, Matanzas, in that area, Flagler. They got a lot of coquina, so the Sandfleas will be there longer than they are up here in North Florida. They don't really migrate, guys. I found that they just dig down deeper. In the middle of winter, I still find Sandfleas in Ponte Vedra. I just look for the birds, see where they're feeding, and like I said, they dig down much deeper. So instead of using a Sandflea rake, I use a shovel and sometimes have to dig down 2 to 3 foot, and then I'll find them. That's why in the springtime when it warms up, one day they're not there, then all of a sudden you'll see several schools everywhere. They're just, however deep they go, they come back up to the top. But yeah, so hopefully the next few days, guys, the weekend's coming up. You get out there and fish. Friday, Saturday looks to be the best days. Even if it's dirty, don't let that stop you right now, because the whiting are still feeding. They are hungry. If you want to fish Nassau, you can target a pretty big variety of fish up there. You know, you got sheephead, trout, flounder, reds, whiting, pompano, drum, all of that in the Nassau area. Go to Amelia Island, the same thing. Go into Huguenot, you got all of that. All the inlets are producing really well right now. Then you got Volano. If they're not dredging this time of year, Volano is usually really good for the big reds along the rocks. So if you haven't caught a big bull red from the surf and you'd like to, it's time to do it. They'll hit the mullet. You can cut them up or use them whole. I haven't heard of any tarpon. I think they've sort of cleared out. Actually, I did hear there were a few caught and hooked in Nassau Sound area. So there are some around, but after this cold front coming, they're going to be much harder to find. And yeah, and all the bait shops seem to be stocked up pretty good with bait. So fresh shrimp, like I said, as you see, like I always do, I always buy live shrimp, put them on ice. They stay on the hook better like that, and you know the freshness of it. It wasn't frozen if you buy them live, if you catch my drift. And I've added a couple little videos after this to show you how I keep my Sandfleas alive, and just I've showed you before, but the simple rig I'm using to catch the sheephead, drum, and redfish. So I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and everyone has a great weekend of fishing. If this report seems a little scattered, it might be I'm exhausted, but had to get this report out to help you guys out, and give me some feedback. Tell me what you're catching. Thank you.
Just a simple setup. Insulated cooler, bubbler. Real simple, guys. I probably got about 5 or 6 dozen in there. Hard to see them, but they're fine. Makes it real easy to fish with them. This is the rig I'm using. Little double hook dropper rig. I use a 25-pound fluorocarbon. You don't have to use fluoro, not for the surf, but that's what I use. And a 2-aught SSW owner hook. And a little snap swivel at the bottom. Today the current's strong, so I had to use a 4-ounce, but if I have to use more than a 4-ounce, I typically won't fish it unless I use a Sputnik, and I don't feel like losing a lot of Sputniks around structure. So that's the setup. I use a 6500 40-pound braid, 10-foot rod. And that's it, guys.